Hello friends, Tom Downey here for Chat Sports, live on site from the College Football Playoff National Championship. But just because we're here for some college football does not mean we forgot about the NFL. We're back with an updated look at the top 10 head coaching candidates for the Denver Broncos. Now, as I'm sure you all know by now, they have fired head coach Vance Joseph after 2 seasons, in large part because it's the first time in 20 years they've had back-to-back losing campaigns. Almost 20 years better of a mark than anyone else. That streak is now over. Now, we'll go through the top 10 candidates with a heavy emphasis, of course, on those who have interviewed already for this job. One note to keep in mind throughout this list, Gary Kubiak could come back as the Broncos OC, so keep that in mind as an option. That's why you might see more defensive guys than we might have otherwise guessed. All right, so the top 10 Broncos head coaching candidates. Number 10 is Mike Shanahan, which seems even more unlikely now than it did at the beginning. Now, there was the report, which has been verified, that John Elway met with Shanahan last year but chose to stick with Vance Joseph for one more season. But it sounds like Shanny won't be an option this time around. Denver will look elsewhere. Maybe makes a little bit of sense since it's been a while since Shanahan's been in the NFL and has actually had success. So we'll make note of him, but I don't think he's a legitimate candidate right now. One more deep dark horse to watch out for is John Harbaugh, the current Ravens head coach. And Pro Football Talk says that there could be a trade of John Harbaugh. Denver could be a team that has interest there. I find it a little bit unlikely because you don't normally see coaches get traded. It's a very rare scenario. I think it's unlikely, but this is someone to monitor, especially if the Ravens lose against the Chargers. Maybe then it comes up with a little bit more discussion. So I ask you this first here. What is John Harbaugh actually worth in a trade? Let me know in the comment section. Pro Football Talk mentioned that some think the Ravens could want 2 first-round picks. That's if they actually don't want to trade him. But if they do really want to move on from John Harbaugh and want to trade him, maybe this trade package makes a little bit more sense. The Ravens get a 2nd-round pick and a 4th-round pick from the Denver Broncos. Remember, the Ravens don't have a round 2 pick this year because of their trade for Lamar Jackson. And Denver has an extra 4th-round pick to trade away as well. So that's a guess from me. I think it's very much a guess, so just keep that in mind. But let me know what you think in the comment section. If you're any Ravens fans watching, let me know what you would want in a trade for John Harbaugh. Meantime, we'll take you through some more head coach candidates here. Number 8, Dave Toub, the Chiefs special teams coach. And remember, he interviewed for the Broncos job back in 2017. I know he's older than most first-time head coaches, and normally special teams coaches don't end up getting hired. But he had interviews in the past, but it seems like the market has kind of gone by the wayside for Dave Toub. Now, you can always have the benefit, the minor benefit, I say, from NFL perspective, of negatively impacting a rival team, but Toub doesn't seem to make the most sense as we sit right now. All right, folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code LIVE120 for a 120% deposit bonus. You put down $50, they're going to give you $60 for free. It's the best betting deal out there. Chatsports.com/bet and use that promo code LIVE120. All right, folks, we'll take you through some more Broncos head coach candidates here. Number 7, Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs' offensive coordinator, who does not call the plays, but has drawn a rather large amount of interest from other NFL teams. He's going to interview with the Bengals, the Jets, the Bucs, and the Dolphins, half the open jobs, and also turned down an interview for the Arizona Cardinals. The Denver Broncos, at this point, are not going to interview Eric, but that could change later on. So keep an eye out for him. If Denver wants to go get an offensive mind, which is coming off the defensive mind of Vance Joseph, tends to make some sense, watch out for Eric Bieniemy. All right, number 6, Mike McCarthy, who has not interviewed with the Denver Broncos, but did speak with them. So there's at least some level of interest there. I think McCarthy might have his eyes on a different head coaching job, maybe one where a quarterback has already been established. But in many ways, he's the opposite of Vance Joseph, right? Vance was a defensive mind, a first-time head coach. Mike McCarthy is an offensive mind with a long track record of success in the NFL, 13 years in total. And yes, things ended poorly, but he did have a very strong tenure. And it's not often you can actually find a coach who won the Super Bowl on the head coaching market. So McCarthy checks in at number 6. If he gets interviewed, things could move a little bit higher. But I do want to know from you, where will Mike McCarthy coach next year? Let me know in the comments section. I think a team like the Browns or the Jets, those seem to be the 2 frontrunners right now for McCarthy's services, both of which I think are good fits for all parties involved. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section. All right, number 5, now to the coaches who have actually interviewed or will interview with quarterbacks coach or with the Denver Broncos, and that's quarterbacks coach Zac Taylor. He's also going to have interviews with the Cardinals and the Bengals. The hope, of course, here is that he ends up being the next Sean McVay. Now, he's going to meet with the Denver Broncos over the weekend, so that's a big sign there for Denver that they have interest there. And Taylor, still very young. He's only 35 years old, but an up-and-coming up-and-coming coach with the hope that he could become the next head coach version of Sean McVay. All right, number 4, one with much more experience. That is Chuck Pagano, who has already interviewed with the Denver Broncos. He was 53-43 in 6 years as the Colts head coach, and I think for some he's getting a pass there that, hey, Ryan Grigson was not good as the GM. So Pagano, a Boulder, Colorado native, has drawn interest from other teams. Denver makes some sense if they really want to go find a coach with, experience as the head man. So Pagano checks in at number 4. I'd be a bit surprised if he got the job, but he is one to monitor for the Denver role. All right, folks, if you like what I'm wearing, go get your own Mizzen and Main shirt. Comfortable.af is the site. They provide all my clothing, making me look at least passable here on air. So go get your own Mizzen and Main shirt. Comfortable.af. All right, next up on our Broncos head coaching candidate list, number 3, Brian Flores, who has multiple interviews already this year. It seems that all the teams want an insight into the Patriots organization, so they're interviewing Flores. He almost got the Cardinals job last year, and yes, he's listed as the linebackers coach, but he calls the defensive plays, so we'll list him as the defensive coordinator. He will have had multiple interviews this year. He'll interview for the Denver Broncos job over the weekend. I don't think he's quite the favorite, but if Denver wants to go young, he also makes sense as an option there. All right, number 2, Vic Fangio, and if you look only resume-wise, he's one of the better ones, right? No head coach experience, but everywhere he's gone as a DC, he's had plenty of success. He will interview for the Denver Broncos job on Monday, i.e. after the Bears playoff, at least first playoff game, is over. Fangio's been very vocal in saying that he's done no prep work yet for any of his interviews, which is a good thing for the Bears, might not be the best thing for Fangio in the interview. He'll also interview for the Dolphins head coaching job, and I want to make note here when it comes to number 2. Yes, he's a defensive guy, and you're probably looking for a guy with an offensive background, but for Denver, you have Gary Kubiak. I think that would be actually a really good 1-2 punch for Denver at the head coach and offensive coordinator position. So before we get to the number 1 spot, let me know in the comments section, who will the Denver Broncos hire? Let me know who you guys want or who you think they will end up hiring. Still early in the head coaching search, but my gut has me feeling decently enough about one particular coach in mind. That is Mike Munchak, the Steelers offensive line coach. I'm putting him at the top spot right now. He is interviewing with the Denver Broncos and the Green Bay Packers. And if I know one thing about the NFL, they love nothing more than giving coaches a second chance to be a head coach when they didn't have a great success the first time around. And I'm not arguing that Munchak's not a good coach. He is a great offensive line coach, one of, if not the best in the entire NFL. The problem is he didn't do all that great as the Titans head coach. And I will make note, the Cardinals almost hired him last year before he pulled himself out of the running. A great offensive line coach could be a good head coach, but he does need good coordinators, especially on the offense of the ball, because he does not call the plays. So maybe that makes sense there with Mike Munchak as the head coach, Gary Kubiak as the offensive coordinator, and then you can go find someone to run your defense. So folks, let me know in the comments section, who will the Denver Broncos hire? If I have to pick one right now, and I reserve the right to change my mind as new information comes about, I think Mike Munchak makes the most sense. But here were my top 10 Broncos head coaching candidates. Mike Shanahan, he was there at number 10. John Harbaugh, which would have to come through a trade, comes in at number 9. Some Chiefs coaches, Dave Toub and Eric Bieniemy. Bieniemy, I think, is going to get hired this year. Mike McCarthy, I think, gets hired, but maybe not by Denver. And then the top 5 guys, all of whom either have already interviewed or will interview in the coming days for the Denver Broncos job. Zac Taylor at number 5, the young quarterbacks coach for the Rams. Chuck Pagano, the former Colts head coach. Brian Flores, who everyone seems to want to interview with right now. Vic Fangio, the talented Bears defensive coordinator, but a coach who hasn't had any head coaching experience. And then in the year of the retread, Mike Munchak, the Steelers offensive line coach, who was great, but didn't have the most success with Tennessee in the first time around. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section.